Hey everyone, so I was asked how long does late credit card payments affect your score? You said you paid off the card in full now. Will it affect my chances of getting approved to buy a home? Piggybacking off of that question, the same question but for a 6-year-old paid collection bill. So first, how long does a late credit card payment affect your score? Here's the scary answer. It can stay on your credit report for 7 years unless you dispute it. Okay, don't dispute it unless you actually have evidence to support the fact that you paid it on time. If you missed a payment, it happened, all right? It's now on the report. There's no way that we can take that off. So what's gonna happen is it's gonna stay on there for a pretty long time, probably about 7 years. The longer that late payment stays on there, the longer it ages, the less of an impact it has on your score. So late payments or payment history makes up 35% of your credit score. So a late payment is going to drop your credit score significantly. As time goes on, then the way it affects your score is going to decrease a little bit, more and more with each year that goes on. So it's something that happens. It's great that you paid off the card now. Having that lower utilization is going to help you with your score, but you're just gonna have to wait it out a little bit. So credit card lates normally aren't a huge issue when it comes to purchasing a home, especially if it's only just one late payment. You're probably going to be able to get approved with a conventional loan as long as your score is good. But if not, then you could go to something like an FHA loan to do, because they're a little bit more lenient on credit history there. So then piggybacking off of that question, you talked about a 6-year-old paid collection bill. And I'm not sure if you're talking about paying it off or the late payments necessarily, but I can kind of just talk a little bit about collections and should you pay them off or not. A lot of people talk about, should you pay off collections or not, because after 7 years, that collection account is going to go away. It's not going to have any impact on your score anymore. So at the 6-year point, then you're kind of weighing the decision of, do you really pay it off or do you wait for it to go away in a year? Here's my take on it. It's an ethical issue, right? Are you the kind of person who takes out money and doesn't pay it back? If so, great, don't pay your collection bill. But to me, I'm the kind of person that if I take money out and say that I'm gonna pay it back, I'm gonna pay it back, right? Just because it goes into collections doesn't mean it's all of a sudden I get to renege on my promise in the first place, right? I think this is an ethical issue and these things bleed into the rest of our life, right? If I'm always trying to find ways to get myself out of promises and go back on my word in my finances and those, in collections, then I'm going to end up seeing that pattern through the rest of my life. And that's just not who I want to be. So when it comes to collection accounts, I see a lot of people talking about ways to get out of it and how do you, take collections account off of your credit report and everything. And honestly, you took out money. You said, hey, I'm going to pay this money back. And the creditor said, great, we trust that you'll pay it back. And then to all of a sudden say, nah, I'm not going to pay it anymore, I just think isn't fair and isn't an appropriate way to go through life. So I always would recommend paying off collection bills because you have an ethical and a moral responsibility to pay that money back. But if you don't want to go with that, then you probably, if you just waited a year, that collection account is going to fall off and not affect your credit report anymore.